So the launch of Dead Matter's closed alpha was rough to say the least. And saying rough is a bit of an understatement. With a horde of people rushing to their website trying to download the game on launch, only to be greeted with a sad face from your internet browser. Or maybe you were like me, you got your hopes up and now you have PTSD every time you see a CAPTCHA. It went days without people being able to get their keys, and with players getting more angry, the devs tweeted out, "Stop pressing F5," which I thought was hilarious, but some people don't share the same humor as I do. But we finally got our hands on our keys, and everyone was so hyped to finally get in game, explore the world, and report as many bugs as they can. But that hype was short-lived. Now trust me, I know. I covered Dead Matter for a good amount of time on my channel, trying to get that sweet, sweet partnership. But from the footage that we've seen from the streams and comparing those to the devlogs that were previously shown, the game looks a hell of a lot different and not nearly as polished as they were in the devlogs. The gunplay looks amazing as always, but the third-person animations look like Cyberpunk, so you can wonder why they didn't want to have third-person perspective in the closed alpha or in the game at all. The zombies also took me by surprise, and not in a good way. They kind of look like mannequins, and their animations just look really odd and pretty basic. Now, before you start raising your pitchforks, let me just clarify. I know that this game is in an alpha state, and I know this game is unfinished, and I know there's going to be a lot of bugs. I know those animations and stuff will get reworked, but I have to call it how I see it. I mean, all the games that I play nowadays are all early access games. I mean, just to name a few, I play like Scum, Tarkov, Project Zomboid, Ready or Not, Zero Hour, and those are all early access alpha games, even if Tarkov wants to say that they're in beta. Trust me, I know. But the way that the game was marketed, and when they said things like optimizing the game and showing off all of these features that aren't even in a good state or in the alpha. On top of that, when players were waiting to get their keys, the devs were silent and also locked down the Dead Matter Discord, which was pretty nuts. That just came to show us that the devs are really bad when it comes to communication. If you guys are going to make a game and have a bunch of people support you and back the game, the least you can do is respond to those people. On November 2nd, about 3 months after the release of the closed alpha, the lead developer Nick Z wrote a letter. He pretty much summarized the tragedy that was Dead Matter's launch. He talks about how many of the elements are lacking and unfulfilling and addressing the massive amount of bugs and technical issues with the game. He then continues to say that the team is dedicated to make Dead Matter the game it's supposed to be. That same day, we got a post-Halloween update, basically telling us that they're working on guns, fixing bugs, and dealing with netcode issues and other under-the-hood things like a new sky dome and lighting. As we move on to the next week, we get another update where they speak on how they worked and made improvements to the game to make it more playable for players. They also worked on the ladder system so you won't get stuck anywhere and made them climbable, worked on some exploits, made some quality of life improvements, and said that level designers are focused on getting back to their original art direction. Now that sentence stopped me in my tracks and made me a little bit confused because I just can't understand why or when they went a different direction in the first place. If you're showing off a game a certain way, you shouldn't have the style completely changed when you put it in players' hands. In December, they showed off their new studio. And if you guys want to work for QI Software and develop Dead Matter, you can try to apply. I'll leave a link in the description below. They then showed off Kyle's work on the way that the zombies are spawned into the world and how they behave. They even made zombies have the ability to leap at you from different areas, which is a nice addition, but I'm also still waiting for them to climb through windows. Now, I don't know if many of you are aware of this, but Gunslinger has left the development team. It's actually pretty sad to see him go because he was such a big part of Dead Matter, but it kind of makes you wonder why someone would leave. Gunslinger was one of the programmers for Dead Matter. He worked on a lot of the AI in the game as well as other things. But I'm sure for a studio it's pretty shitty to lose a programmer, especially when it's already a small team. And I think that's kind of showing with the lack of updates. Moving on, they continue speaking how they're revising a lot of the lighting and systems to get back to their original vision of the game. They're also working on the hockey jerseys, so those that pre-ordered that will be getting it in-game soon. They also touch on revisions to the way that cars spawn, and in a future update, they will no longer spawn in working conditions. Players will need to repair their vehicles before using it. And now we're finally at present time with the release of the January update. They talk about how it's taken a bit of time to get the 0.6 update out, and it's because they're transitioning from Unreal Engine 4.25 to 4.26. The jump to 4.26 brought them a lot of new features and tools to help them tidy up Dead Matter. And I know, 4.25 was a bit rough. Scum has some similar issues when it comes to streaming in the world, so I hope that 4.26 alleviates some of those issues. They then speak about the reworked zombie spawning system, as I said earlier, and they will no longer spawn when firing because that shit is fucking dumb. Instead, zombies will be spawned throughout the map and will move to whatever sound they hear. So yes, you will be able to clear out a whole town. They have also been working on their survival mechanics like managing hunger, thirst, stamina, blood, and overall character health. They didn't think the other systems were engaging, so they decided to rework it. So now elements of the survival stat system now provide information to the player more clearly. Stamina regeneration is now impacted by a number of stats such as hydration, hunger, and whether or not you've been injured. And they've also laid the groundwork down for food or clothing on the system to impact stamina regeneration as well. They also added a combat stamina. It pretty much gives you an adrenaline boost when in dangerous situations. It allows players to have a little bit more wiggle room to react when in a fight, which I think sounds like a pretty cool idea. They're also reworking the perk systems. They've taken some out because they didn't fit the game while adding in new ones in its place, like a perk that will make you more resistant to pain so you won't pass out from a serious injury. They've also reworked some of the occupations by renaming them and giving them different perks. And lastly, they're adding some new clothing and reworking the firefighter uniform. So you can expect some flashy new firefighter suit and some fresh gear. And that's pretty much all we got so far for Dead Matter. So you may be wondering, well, what's the reality of Dead Matter? The reality of Dead Matter is that the game was rushed out and wasn't ready for a closed alpha release. And now many players don't care about the game or are just leaving it in the oven until it's done cooking. The devs are trying to make strides with this game, and I truly believe that one day this game will be what it is set out to be. I really love the world of the game and the atmosphere, but the game needs a lot of work. But I think it can eventually get there if the team stays dedicated to it. And I know that the devs are active on Discord, but I still would like to see more community interaction, even if it's a simple weekly update showing off what people are working on. I recently just started playing Project Zomboid for the first time, and it really opened up my eyes on what Dead Matter could be. Dead Matter is trying to be Project Zomboid, but in first person and an Unreal Engine, and I think that can be really amazing. Project Zomboid has been in early access for forever, but the devs still put out weekly updates showing off what's going on with the game. And that's all people really want. They just want some transparencies between the developers and the players. And I think having simple screenshots showing off what they're working on or even what's stumping them with development can really go a long way. But that's going to wrap up today's video, guys. If you do want to win a free Dead Matter key, make sure to like the video, subscribe, and comment below. I'll be giving away the key live on my Twitch stream next week, so make sure you follow so you do not miss out on a chance to win a Dead Matter closed alpha key. But tell me, guys, is Dead Matter over for you? Were you disappointed at launch? Are you still excited for Dead Matter? Let me know in the comments below, guys. I really do appreciate every single one of you for coming out. I'm Loaflord, and stay toasty out there.